So Sean Payton retires as head coach of the New Orleans Saints. The Saints era of Brees and Payton is officially over. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so while recording my breakdown of the Packers 49ers game, news came across that Sean Payton, head coach of the New Orleans Saints, has retired from the NFL. What a career. What a career. Clearly on the way to the Hall of Fame, you would have to say, with all of his accolades as head coach of the New Orleans Saints. 16 years ago, hired as head coach, only actually coached 15 years because got suspended for a year for the NFL bounty investigation. Let's not forget that. He's not necessarily in the NFL's best graces, but I think his impact on the game and is undeniable, and I would have to say that he is a Hall of Fame coach. Overall, 152-89 record. That's a .631 win percentage. Playoffs, only 9-8, but does have that Super Bowl victory. Of course, the victory over Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts. We all remember the Tracy Porter interception, the onside kick to start the second half. So great for Sean Payton. I think there's no question that his career and legacy will always be tied to that of Drew Brees. Those guys were just phenomenal together. Some just like amazing decisions made by the New Orleans Saints franchise in the same offseason to hire Sean Payton as head coach and to bring in Drew Brees. Now, you have to jump back to 2006 where people, maybe these days, especially if you're a little bit younger, you might not believe the fact that Drew Brees was a free agent and he wasn't necessarily viewed as a sure thing. He had some good years with the San Diego Chargers, but there were some major issues regarding his shoulder. The Miami Dolphins actually could have signed Drew Brees, but they decided to sign Dante Culpepper instead, which obviously I'm sure Dolphins fans don't want to remember that. But yeah, just a phenomenal career, ever since he stepped in, to that building in New Orleans. The Superdome was always a really tough matchup for any team. Sean Payton and Drew Brees, when I think of those two guys together, I think of just consistency, essentially year in, year out, being a really tough team to play in that Superdome, which would get so loud with those crazy Saints fans. Other things that I think of are, absolute like offensive powerhouse. I do remember, I think it was either Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football against the Patriots. This was maybe back in 2009, 2010, and he took Bill Belichick to school back then, did Sean Payton and Drew Brees. Overall, some of the play calls that they'd come up with over the years were so innovative, and defenses, at the time would have no response for it. So just an amazing career, and a guy whose impact will forever be known in the NFL. When I think of Sean Payton and Drew Brees, I think of course, they beat the 49ers a few times, but I do think of two awesome games against the 49ers where the NFC divisional round in Candlestick Park, where Alex Smith to Vernon Davis, the catch three. And then, of course, that epic game with Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Shanahan going into New Orleans, and the last second field goal by Robbie Gould to beat the Saints. So some fond memories there. But all in all, obviously it's a big day for New Orleans, a sad day, you'd have to say, and it's just an end of an era. So, good luck, obviously, to Sean Payton and the rest of what he does in life after football. So another thing that I wanted to talk about in this video is, really what's next for the franchise of New Orleans. Clearly, Payton and Brees, that era is over. What do they do now? Well, My opinion actually is I don't really think that they need to do a whole lot. What I would do if I were the Saints is I would promote Dennis Allen from defensive coordinator to head coach. That Saints defense was incredible this year. I see no reason not to, have that going forward. So you promote Dennis Allen to head coach. You keep that consistency in the locker room, so it's not like you're flipping at 180. The players will kind of know what to expect. Dennis Allen did coach a couple of games too this season as well as the head coach with Payton out. But the lingering questions with the Saints are going to be two things. Number one, the quarterback position, and number two, their cap issues. So with the cap issues, because they are scheduled to be, I believe, over like $70 million above the salary cap, they actually do have a couple of ways they can get out of this. So what they'll need to do is they'll need to cut Bradley Roby. That'll save them about $9 to $10 million. And then they're essentially going to have to restructure a whole bunch of deals, which typically isn't necessarily the best way to go about things, but I actually don't mind it here. Not only because you kind of have to do it, but also because a lot of the guys that they will have to restructure in order to get under the salary cap are all guys who are still relatively young and incredibly productive players. So the guys on this list who they're going to have to restructure: Marshawn Lattimore at cornerback. You could argue he's a shutdown cornerback, maybe top 5, at least top 10 in the league. Ryan Ramczyk, who's a very, very good offensive tackle in the league. Then you have Michael Thomas, who hasn't played much the last couple of years, but at wide receiver, we know how good he is. Alvin Kamara, one of the better versatile weapons in the league. Cameron Jordan and then Marcus Davenport, 2 elite pass rushers. Cameron Jordan's getting a little bit up there in age, but still very effective. So if you restructure their deals, you can save a lot of money. You basically guarantee all these guys' contract, but you should potentially get under the salary cap. What the Saints are going to have to do is the other issue then, is they're going to have to look at their quarterback position. I think for the next year or two, they're probably going to have to go with that Winston Taysom Hill combo, just considering the contract obligations, and I don't think they'll be able to get out of those. But if I'm the Saints, what I do, keep those two guys, and then I actually look whether it's the first or second round this year. If you find a quarterback that you think, hey, we can develop this guy, give him a year or two to learn and throw him out there, maybe I don't know if a Kenny Pickett's going to fall, but maybe Matt Corral, maybe Malik Willis. There's a lot of different guys who are very intriguing prospects in the draft this year who will probably need a year or two to develop. And then you do that, you let them sit behind Winston and Hill. You have a great defense and you have a ton of really good weapons there. So in my opinion, I actually don't think the Saints should do a whole bunch different. Stick with what they're doing. Have that great defense. Keep that core together because, again, a lot of these guys are super young. And then, of course, you're going to have to find a good offensive coordinator. My opinion is maybe you go the route of a former head coach. So maybe at offensive coordinator, you're looking at Bill O'Brien, maybe even Matt Nagy, Doug Peterson. Some of these guys kind of get made fun of a little bit. And for justifiable reasons, but I think these guys are guys who can come in if they just get to focus on the offense and get the offense rolling. There's a great defense in New Orleans, and I actually don't think they're that far off. Plus, their division's not great, and who knows what's going to happen with Brady in Tampa Bay. So the division could be theirs for the taking. Those are my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think about the Saints and about Sean Payton's legacy. And just always remember 2 things. The butt counts. And we're going to catch you on the flip side.